existing zoning. So the rights that UMCH has right now to develop this ground are commercial office zoning along High Street, that's C2, C3, and the special, which is the institutional zoning behind. We're showing, this is the Sunrise. The Sunrise is already built. It's not part of the site, so we're not talking about it. I should also mention that there's the conference center right here, which is also probably not in play, although if the right development and the right circumstances came along, they might consider, but that may or may not be part of the site. So just to show an example, a developer could come in, or UMCH could do this today, if they would so choose, they could develop something like this on that site under the existing zoning. It wouldn't have to go through planning commission, it wouldn't have to go through council, they didn't have to get building permits, make sure they meet zoning compliance, and they could do this kind of development. Basically, this is an institutional use in the back, some office use in the front. We're probably being more generous than most developers would be, showing some green space, preserving the Tucker Creek. And we're talking about, and this is actually huge, 480,000 square feet of development. That's a lot of development. And consequently, 1,700 or more parking spaces. That's a lot of cars. But that gives you a sense of what can happen today on this site. This is the by right zoning, and just an example of what can be done. What might that look like? Anywhere from hospitals, children's closer to home, to college campus kind of things. Those are all kind of institutional uses that can happen. All right, let's talk about retail. This chart is basically saying that what's really interesting is our household income, our buying power could support a lot of retail. And the reality is we do support a lot of retail. We just actually don't support a lot of retail in Worthington. We have Old Worthington, we have shops at Worthington Place, and some things along High Street. But for the most part, we're supporting the retail, and the retail exists on Sawmill Road and on Polaris and Crosswoods, 161, because that's where we're doing our retail shopping. But it's the community of Worthington that's doing a large part of supporting of many of that retail uses. So our retail could look at the site and say, well, we've got a great economic base here. There is a buying power here that would be appealing. So we said, and again, I think probably a lot of you came out because of the original Giant Eagle proposal. This is an even more extreme version, although, well, it's a little more extreme version because we have more retail shown here, but this would be like a big box in the back, some liner retail. This would be like, you could imagine Easton Commons, the part that's west of Easton. You know, this kind of drive-in, large giant parking lot, service delivery behind. And we're showing 2 outlets. Again, a developer probably put 4 outlets more on that site. So you can see, again, 250,000 square feet of retail. It's a lot of retail. That would put about 600 people, employees, across all the shifts. And you're talking about more than 1,600 spaces of parking on that. So again, that would be an all-out retail use. Pictures of what it could look like. And an important thing to talk about with this retail is that when we talk about retail, we often think about the big box or the outlot kind of stuff. And there's nice ways to do both, particularly the outlots. The reality is, and this goes back to those national trends, retailers are actually trying to now look at integrating into a more mix of uses. So, you know, this is down at Beachwell. They're up to the street, they're part of the community, they interact with the neighborhood, the streets connect, or even more to the point, first floor of a mixed-use development with an office above or residential above, because the retailers, particularly restaurants, are actually kind of that community gathering place. They're important. They actually help all the other uses and things that we all want. So saying all retail bad on the site, or all retail on the site is bad, maybe going too far. There could be certain types of retail that would make a lot of sense on the site, depending on your goal. Okay, now let's talk about office. One more little bit of education here on office. Office is classified by 3 types: Class A, Class B, and Class C office. And Class A is the top. It's the one that gets the highest market rates. It's the signature office. It's the newest buildings, highest quality architecture, all the amenities, and all the facilities that you want, and they're usually in prime locations. And the reality is, Wilson Bridge Road in the 1970s was Class A. This was the hot spot. This was the Class A spot. But it's gotten tired and old, and a lot of other places have developed since then, and they've got more. We've expanded our highways, we have more interchanges, and so Wilson Bridge Road has slid down to Class B, but there's other places that have Class A. One thing I do want to show, we are getting 1 new Class A development. It's getting built. This is on Wilson Bridge Road by the shops at Worthington Place. This piece right here is Class A office. But the interesting point to talk about here is this is showing Class A office mixing with residential. And again, that was with Worthington helping out and trying to encourage this to happen, but it shows you could possibly think about mixing some Class A office into mixed-use development. Here's the